start. Gianni, for the benefit of the audience, Exein connects protected devices, which is increasingly important as more and more connected devices come online. Now, you've been on the mission since 2018, and this year at Balderton, we're super proud to have led your Series B. To start things off, I'd love to take us to the origins of the story, which is really your story. Can you tell us about how you first got involved in cyber?
Yes. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm starting in cybersecurity when I was a little bit of a naughty boy. So I'm a former member of an hacker collective in Germany. We were doing reverse engineering of devices. So somebody called it piracy, somebody called it digital freedom. It really depends where you see the world on that. For us, was just to let people use whatever software they want on the device they own. So it was about the concept also about digital ownership and physical ownership of the device. Then my life turned a very special direction, starting working in the intelligence sector with some NATO agencies, mostly on reverse engineering on non-NATO weapons subsystems. Being pretty much around in the world in doing funny stuff, let's put it this way. Then going back to my civilian life, and I launched the company, was a penetration testing company. Scaled the company, built the company around, and there was a consultancy on penetration testing, mostly on IoT devices and industrial devices. So I've been lucky enough to see this world from different angles, from the hacker underground culture to the spy, quote unquote, and from the consultancy level technology. So for me, it was clear that we were undergoing a software standardization, a platform standardization, and that's where the idea of Exein came from. So because there was an underlying problem, and there was like the right technological condition to build on top of it, and that's why we pulled off Exein on that.
Love that story. But what always sticks with me is that you're a former hacker and a spy, so I always remember never to get on your backside. Taking this to Exein, can you help the audience understand what the company does, maybe by telling us some use cases from your customers?
So yeah, Exein it runs on 1.5 billion devices today, so it's the largest embedded runtime security technology in the world. And we, as you can imagine, with so much devices, there's a lot of different use cases. So we go from cars, we go from AC systems, we go from industrial robotics to base station of telecommunication, and even the water distribution system that the guys here at Slush have. By the way,
why would they use in the water distribution at Slush?
Well, I mean, I think you have to ask our customer, but I think they want to defend it and they connect them mostly because they want to check what's inside, and they don't want to have somebody who's checking all the time the water level, so they can have the data coming from those systems and they can harmonize the when they have to refill. And we do, of course, because they are connected, we do the security layer for them. So very, very broad use cases, and we try to be as agnostic as possible when it comes to markets that we serve in that direction.
And it's fascinating because I think every time we talk, including today with the water example, I learn about new use cases for the technology. A curiosity for me is, if we think about this world where everything is becoming connected, what do you think is the single biggest security risk that the general population underestimates?
So I think that a lot of people doesn't really understand or doesn't really know how much devices are similar between each other.
Right.
So, because of course you tend to see a car, you tend to see a smart TV, and you may think that they're all different. In reality, the substack, so what's inside those systems is pretty similar. So it's very, very similar one-to-one on those directions. So what this means, basically, when you find a vulnerability in one particular device, then you can use the same vulnerability to attack, to perform a mass attack on the rest of those devices. And I think this is the most is one of the biggest threats that we have right now about how much those devices are similar. And that's why also Exein, on a counterbalancing it, we are trying to use as agnostic as possible approach, in order to basically have the opportunity to secure devices no matter what kind of platform they use,
Right.
no matter what architecture they use.
Got you. And if we think about, just the scale of all of it, when we first started talking, I found it fascinating to learn that often the most vulnerable entry point into a system is the most underrated one.
Yep.
So the fish tank to attack a casino, which was a real hack, or a connected oven on a military ship. How big is the embedded market really?
So embedded market is one of the largest IT market in the world. It's 8 times bigger than cloud. So this just to give you the scale on how big it is, and just by see the sheer numbers of devices that we are connecting on a daily basis. Just to give you some references, in the Western world, 15 years ago, we had 3 IP connected devices per house.
Right.
Today, we have 15 IP connected devices per house.
And it's only going to increase.
And it's only increasing. And in the company, in the critical infrastructure, this trend is even more present. So we have a way more connectivity, and the perimeter is becoming larger and larger in that sense. So, and that's also why, because this perimeter is becoming larger and larger, we're trying to have a different approach on IoT security that doesn't involve necessarily connectivity and centralized approach, but a more decentralized approach in which every single endpoint becomes basically a part of a security node, basically, in which every device is sharing threat intelligence between the others and protect the systems.
And secure it on its own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, it's 2025, impossible not to talk about AI. All around Slush and elsewhere, we see fantastic use cases of the technology, but we know that it can also be leveraged by the bad guys. What is the impact of AI-driven attacks in the world of cybersecurity?
So, AI is an amazing technology. Back in my naughty time, basically, most of the attack, especially when it comes to involve hardware and IoT attacks, there was a lot of manual work, mostly because you have to study how those devices were designed. You have to study manuals, everything that basically you have to get a knowledge on the base system that you are trying to attack and to exploit. Right now, basically, this time is down to 0 or down to very, very small time. So the information gathering phase, which was called, is basically really, really narrowed in terms of the time frame. And this is thanks to AI, because AI gives you the access to a lot of data in real time. So I would love to have this tool when I was doing that job.
Good thing you didn't.
Yeah. Now it's a little bit different when it comes to also using AI to generate attacks, because you can have instant access to the information of a device. You can generate some of the code that you can use on the attacks. So of course, you will see more and more physical attacks on devices. Also because physical attacks are actually the attacks that are causing real-world problem, And so, for instance, if somebody steals the password of a server, of course, it's a problem, but you don't have a physical implication of that.
Yeah.
If somebody shut down the lights of an airport, you have a physical implication of that. You have a destroyment of services, and that side. That's why also why we are starting already to see the increase on physical devices attack, but we will see this more and more happening. And AI, of course, is a boost to this attack. On the other side, AI is also used for coordination of threat intelligence and security in that sense. So at Exein, we use AI in order to, first, we have a model that runs directly on the devices, because we make sure that every device can defend themselves by themselves, so without the internet connectivity. But also, the AI is used to elaborate threat intelligence on the fly and sharing the information in that sense.
Yeah, so really used on both sides of the equation. That's great. And the other topic that, as an investor, I cannot ignore in 2025 is defense, especially sitting here in Europe. Now, when we think about defense, to me, the new battlefield includes things such as space and obviously cyber. Can you share, I know this is all super confidential, but a little bit of the type of work you're doing in the defense space?
Yes, I mean, I've been involved in defense on a various level, as you know. When we started doing cyber warfare operation, our goal was mostly to generate basically computer viruses, let's put it this way, that actually was not for information stealing, but was for service disruption. So shut down radars, shut down other systems that may be requiring a physical attacks. Instead of doing through a physical attack, we were doing this through cyber attacks. And of course, what this means is that now that we work on the other side, we have to make sure that the weapon systems that are used by our part of the world, let's call it this way, are cyber resilient. So which means that they can resist not only to electronic warfare attacks, but also what is now called the cyber warfare attack. And because of those new technologies and new disruption of service are becoming more and more important, the new NATO doctrine imposes that every single complex weapon equipment that is deployed has also now resilience, cyber resilience countermeasure. And we at Exein are providing this for combat aircraft, for ships, submarines, and others, very special class of devices, and of course drones and other in that sense. And we are seeing this demand increasing more and more.
Obviously.
Because this is, of course, a big trend happening right now, and I think we are investing in class technology that can easily provide a refitting of most of the weapon system in that sense.
And it's absolutely crucial. So doubling down on this geopolitical topic, given the growing tension around digital sovereignty, where does Europe stand in the global race for cybersecurity? And where do you see the biggest gaps?
So we have a lot to do. As you know, there's no public listed company, European public listed company focused on cyber. Hopefully Exein will be one of the few or the first one that actually
looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we are pushing very hard for that. So the problem of Europe is that Europe really didn't understand the value of cyber until the attack was happening. Until we were the target, and we rely a lot on Israeli and US technology, and this has caused problems. First, because can easily say that 50% of the technology made in Israel is completely fake on a technological standpoint, and that's also is a really good level of marketing that there's happening there. But also, even more importantly, that what's happening basically in the US is that we are completely reliant on the security of our infrastructure from actors that can be today friendly and maybe not exactly in the future, or they just can change their attitude towards Europe. So we need cyber resilience made in Europe. We need European company who can scale in cyber. And we also need investors that have to believe in full stack technologies.
Absolutely.
Because cybersecurity and the build our ground up cybersecurity technology takes time. Results are not immediate. For us, it was about 4 years and a half, almost 5 years, only research and development in order to have a full stack technology before we hitting the market. And of course, not all investors are patient enough for that. But now that you have a full stack technology, you basically are not dependent by anyone when it comes to deliver it to the market.
Yeah, it's really about building that underlying infrastructure on which you can build on top of to have that full sovereignty.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to move onwards and talk about the future. When it comes to security, the perimeter is increasing. We're thinking of a world of autonomous systems, vehicle, AI, and everything. I'm thinking about humanoid use cases and so on and so forth. How do you see the perimeter expanding over the coming years of what you will need to secure?
So the perimeter that we see is expanding very fast. Embedded is growing a lot. Connectivity is growing a lot, and we just see also the numbers from telecommunication company that actually providing IoT connectivity, that they are increasing the numbers of devices and increasing also the business coming from the IoT connectivity divisions, which means reflects how distributed is IoT and how many new systems are being connected. And also, if you think about, there's also new geographies that are coming in the places.
Absolutely.
In Western Europe and the US, we had the transition between analogic infrastructure to digital infrastructure. While there are geographies right now, like Central Asia, like Africa, that will be digital native since day one. So they will step directly to connectivity. They will not go analogic first and then digital. And then we are seeing also new class of devices that are being released. Just about thinking about humanoid androids or self-driving cars or drones, delivery systems, and surgical system in that sense. So the perimeter is becoming bigger and bigger. And of course, with a perimeter that is becoming bigger, also the attack perimeter and the attack pattern is becoming more structured in that sense.
Absolutely, and I'm smiling because when you say that, I always think about the little humanoid robot that runs around your office, which is very cute, but I will still never completely trust. It scares them.
He's a little bit scary guy, but he's a good guy, for now.
We'll see. So continuing on the topic of global stakes, as digital infrastructure becomes part of national security, as we said, what do you think is the responsibility of companies like Exein and in cybersecurity in this race? What happens if we don't solve security at the core?
So I think that security companies have a double responsibility when it comes to market, because we have, of course, responsibility to our customers in order to make sure that they can ship secure devices to the market. Because let's face it, there's a lot of going on right now, a lot of connectivity, a lot of new systems, but the people will shy away if they don't feel safe using this technology. I think everybody has seen the video about those robots inside a house. If somebody gets hurt, this sector will be killed even before it will board. The same goes for taxis, self-driving taxis, or delivery drones, or anything else. Until people will feel safe, they will use this technology. If people will not feel safe, they will be shying away this technology. Also because we are now living in this moment and this era in which basically the line between what's happening in your digital life and digital world, what's happening in your physical world is becoming blurred and blurred. Okay. So what this means is that right now, we're starting to see people getting a little bit scared on what will happen if, So we are helping our customers to make sure that their customers are not asking this question, So we are a little bit of a business enabler to that. And for the whole people and people that are using technology, and I'm pretty sure most of you are already using devices running with Exein, even if they don't know, we make sure that basically what you are using will not harm you, or at least we will make harder for an attacker to weaponize what you're actually using in everyday life. Because at the end of the day, Exein is a very particular technology. As I said before, we run in 1.5 billion devices, and we are continuing growing and growing. We are basically surrounding people's life. I know it sounds creepy, but this is what actually we are doing. So you find Exein in your cars, you find Exein in your hotel elevator when you go back to you find Exein in the light of the airports when you go back to your home country. So we already are part of everybody's life, even though we are this silent guardian that sits in the devices. And of course, I think we have the responsibility that make sure that what we ship to the market really helps people to feel safer when they are operating this kind of technology.
And I think that's really beautifully put, because what you're saying is that security is an enabler for innovation and not an afterthought. Because if we don't solve the security element, then there's no innovation, there's not going to be commercialization of these technologies. People are not going to let them into their lives, into their homes.
Exactly.
So it's really critical. Now, as we're coming to the end, I want to leave aside the tech for a moment and talk about the human part. You've been building this for a while now. Can you share with the audience what has been maybe some of the biggest challenges that you have faced and what kept you going?
So for us, of course, let's start saying that IoT security and embedded security in general is a secular problem. We live in a world of hype. There's an AI hype. There was a blockchain hype. There was, last mile delivery hype. Everything hype. While IoT security is a topic since now 20 years, and most probably will be a topic for the next 50 years, because it's a very big problem. It's a very complex problem, and the complex problem requires complex answers. And when it comes to complex answers, and when it comes to technology, immediately this becomes a complex technology problem. We rebuilt Exein from scratch 11 times. before you join. So make sure your money is safe on that side.
That is something I did not know pre-investment, but now I do.
Yeah. So we rebuilt this technology 11 times before we get to a stage in which our technology was stable, because. Think about that. Exein is a deploy and forget kind of technology. What means this is that you basically install Exein on a device, and this device should be run non-stop for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes there's no even availability to upgrade or to fix stuff. So in order to give our customer this level of confidence, the device should be the software should be without problems. You know, and ship problemless technology is one of the bugless and the stability, it's a very super stable technology. It's one of the biggest challenges that we have right now in technology world. So, you know, you all guys using ChatGPT or others, those technology can hallucinate. A device that is running inside an airport for 20 years cannot hallucinate.
Of course.
You know? So it's a very, very, very complex technology challenge, and sometimes when we started all over again for 11th time, we were asking ourselves, are we the right people to do it? You know, because at the end of the day, you see this technology problem is so big that you start questioning also yourself. You know,
so especially if, as you say, it's 10 times, so you're like restrapping everything, rebuilding from scratch.
Exactly.
It's huge.
And this is the worst sensation ever, you know, because every time you thought, okay, I got the answers, and you have to start back, you know, because you hit a wall, and this wall actually tells you that you were wrong, and you have to start all over again. And this is also, you know, it was complex also to push back investors that were looking for early revenues to say, no, you have to wait because we have to rebuild this. I'm not sure that we said to them every time that we were rebuilding, but you know, now it's.
We got there eventually.
Yeah, exactly. We got there, so it's okay. So sometimes you question yourself. You have this imposter syndrome that is getting you and saying, "Are you sure you are able to do this? Because this, if nobody reached this level, if nobody did this before, why a small team in Rome has enough talent to build a technology like this?" But you know, on one end, this is scary. On the other hand, if you are a very competitive person, this becomes really the driver. You know, like, and this I think it was like the gluing factor for me and for the rest of the team. Do it until it works.
Absolutely. Thank you for being so open and sharing that with the audience. I hope it can be inspiring for some of the founders here today. So to close, Gianni, I'd love for you to share briefly what is the vision, and say we're sitting here again Slush 2030. What will success look like for Exein?
So, I mean, there are two answers to this. Personal success will be most probably me not at Slush because we already IPO'd your exit. But regardless of this, I think the success of Exein will be if we really make this happen on a much bigger scale than what we already did right now, which is basically building this, we call it the digital immune system of digital life, you know? So basically making sure that you have an Exein instances on pretty much every device that you are using, and these devices are sharing threat intelligence between themselves and basically acts like a real immune system. And in your immune system, your cells are speaking with other cells and sharing, you know, not threat intelligence, but sharing, you know, chemicals that actually make sure that you don't get an infection and everything is working accordingly to how it should run. And for Exein, I imagine the same stuff. So you will have Exein in your car, Exein in your smart TV, and your smart TV will help to secure your car, your fridge, and other devices or instances that will run the same and share the same platform. So this is what I envision as a success for us to basically build this really underlying technology that is providing security to everybody and every asset deployed on the market.
I love that. The immune system for the digital world.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gianni. It's been a pleasure, and thank you again for your trust.
Thank you. Ciao.
Thanks.